Take a slow, comfortable breath, and as you breathe out, allow the day to drift away. There is nowhere you need to go, nothing you need to solve, nothing you need to remember. Tonight, you are simply here to listen, to relax, and to travel into a peaceful story. Imagine a valley surrounded by gentle mountains, not the kind of mountains that feel dangerous or wild, but quiet mountains, old mountains, mountains that have watched the world change for centuries. Nestled between them sits a small town, a town so peaceful that visitors often forget what day it is. The streets are narrow, the houses are simple, and every evening, golden lights glow softly behind wooden windows. Life moves slowly here. The baker wakes before sunrise. The shopkeeper greets the same customers every day, and children spend their afternoons exploring fields and streams. Nothing unusual ever happens. At least, that is what most people believe. Because hidden at the edge of town, covered by ivy and surrounded by silence, stands an old railway station. The station has been abandoned for as long as anyone can remember. Its paint has faded, its wooden benches are worn by time, and its clock stopped ticking many decades ago. Most people walk past without giving it a second glance. But the station holds a secret older than anyone living in the town. According to local legend, once every 100 years, a train arrives. No one knows where it comes from, no one knows where it is going, and no one knows who built it. The stories have been passed down from generation to generation. Grandparents tell them to children, parents repeat them by the fireplace on winter nights, and each time, the story remains the same. The train arrives, a few passengers step aboard, the train disappears, and those who return are never quite the same. Not because they are frightened, not because they are sad, but because they have seen something extraordinary, something impossible to explain. Most people dismiss the story as a fairy tale, a pleasant legend, nothing more, but not everyone. There is one person in town who has always been fascinated by it. His name is Oliver. Oliver is the town librarian. He spends his days surrounded by old books, dusty maps, forgotten journals, and stories from long ago. While other people lose interest in legends as they grow older, Oliver becomes more curious. Every year he searches for clues. Every year he studies old documents. And every year he finds another small piece of the mystery. One quiet autumn evening, Oliver sits alone inside the library. Outside, golden leaves drift through the streets. The town is unusually quiet. A soft rain taps gently against the windows. Inside, the warm glow of a lamp illuminates a collection of ancient records. Oliver carefully turns another page. The document is nearly a century old. Its paper is fragile, its ink faded. Yet one sentence immediately catches his attention. The train will return when the moon shines brightest over the valley. Oliver reads the line again and again. Something feels different tonight. A strange sense of anticipation fills the air, as though the town itself is waiting for something. The rain slowly stops, the clouds begin to part, and moonlight spills across the valley. Oliver closes the journal. He stands, walks toward the window, and gazes outside. The sky is perfectly clear. Thousands of stars sparkle above the mountains, and hanging over everything is the brightest moon he has ever seen. For a moment, nothing happens. The town remains silent, peaceful, still. Then, far away in the distance, a sound breaks the silence. A train whistle, long, low, and hauntingly beautiful. Oliver freezes. His heart skips a beat. Surely it cannot be real. The railway has been abandoned for decades. No trains travel through the valley. Yet there it is again. The whistle echoes through the mountains. Closer this time. Oliver rushes outside. The cool night air greets him. Across town, lights begin appearing in windows. Others have heard it too. People step onto porches, open doors, look toward the mountains. No one speaks, because everyone is thinking the same thing. The legend. Could it be true? The whistle sounds again. And then, emerging from a blanket of silver mist, a light appears. Not bright, not blinding. Just a warm golden glow. Slowly, the glow grows larger and larger until its shape becomes clear. A train, a magnificent train unlike anything anyone has ever seen. Its polished exterior reflects the moonlight. Its windows shine like lanterns. And somehow, it moves silently, without smoke, without noise, without effort. The train glides across tracks that should no longer exist. As it approaches the station, something remarkable happens. The old station clock, the clock that has remained frozen for decades, suddenly begins ticking once more. Tick, tick, tick. For the first time in almost a century, the hands begin to move. The people watching from afar cannot believe their eyes, yet none of them dare move closer, except Oliver, because deep inside, he knows. This is the moment he has been waiting for his entire life. And as the mysterious train slowly comes to a stop beside the forgotten platform, a single door begins to open, and a warm golden light spills into the night. The passengers of Moonlight, take another slow breath. Allow your mind to become lighter. The night is calm, the world is quiet, and the mysterious journey continues. The golden light spilled softly from the train's open doorway, not harsh, not bright, but warm, like the glow of a fireplace on a winter evening. Oliver stood alone on the platform. The cool night breeze moved gently through the trees. Behind him, the town remained silent. Everyone watched from a distance. No one dared step forward. No one except Oliver. His heart beat steadily, not from fear, but from curiosity. For years he had searched for answers. For years he had read old journals and forgotten stories. And now, the mystery stood before him, real, waiting. The train remained perfectly still, as though it had been expecting him. Slowly, Oliver took a step forward, then another, and another, until he stood beside the open doorway. Inside, everything looked different from any train he had ever seen. Soft golden lamps hung from the ceiling. Polished wooden walls reflected the warm light. Comfortable seats stretched down the length of the carriage. And everywhere, there was silence. Not an empty silence, a peaceful silence, the kind that exists deep inside forests, or beside a quiet lake at dawn. Oliver carefully stepped aboard. The moment his foot touched the floor, a gentle bell rang somewhere far away. The sound echoed softly through the carriage, then faded. The door slowly closed behind him. Yet strangely, he felt completely calm, as though he had entered a place where worry simply could not exist. The train began moving, not with a sudden jolt, not with the rumble of wheels. Instead, it seemed to glide forward effortlessly, smoothly, like a dream drifting through the night. Oliver looked around. At first, he thought he was alone. Then, he noticed something. Passengers, dozens of them, sitting quietly throughout the carriage. Some gazed out the windows, others read books. A few simply closed their eyes and rested peacefully. No one seemed surprised by the journey. No one seemed concerned. It was as though they had always belonged there. Oliver walked slowly down the aisle, and as he did, he noticed something unusual. The passengers were dressed differently, not in strange costumes, but in clothing from different times. One elderly gentleman wore a suit that looked over 100 years old. A woman nearby carried a parasol from another century. Further ahead, A young traveler wore clothes that appeared almost modern. It was as if people from different eras had somehow gathered together, sharing the same journey, the same destination. Yet no one spoke. The carriage remained wrapped in peaceful silence. Eventually, Oliver found an empty seat beside a large window. Outside, the valley was disappearing. The town grew smaller. The mountains drifted away. And then, something impossible happened. The landscape began to change. The familiar world faded into silver mist. The stars above grew brighter, brighter than any stars Oliver had ever seen. Entire rivers of light stretched across the heavens. Constellations shimmered overhead, as though the train had left ordinary reality behind. Oliver pressed his hand against the glass. The view felt endless, beautiful, timeless, and strangely comforting. A few moments later, a soft voice spoke nearby. "First journey?" Oliver turned. An old woman sat across from him. He was certain she had not been there a moment ago. She smiled kindly, the sort of smile that instantly made people feel safe. "Yes," Oliver replied quietly. The woman nodded. "I remember my first journey." Her voice was gentle, like the turning pages of an old book. Oliver hesitated, then asked the question he had carried his entire life. "Where are we going?" The woman smiled, but instead of answering immediately, she looked out the window, toward the endless sea of stars. Finally, she said, "We are going where forgotten things go." Oliver frowned slightly. "What does that mean?" The woman chuckled softly. "Most travelers ask the same question." She folded her hands calmly, then continued, "Tell me, Oliver, when was the last time you thought about your happiest childhood memory?" Oliver blinked. The question surprised him. He thought for a moment, then realized he could not remember, not clearly. The details had faded with time. The woman nodded. "As years pass, people lose many things. Places, moments, dreams, memories. They are not destroyed. They simply drift away." Oliver listened carefully. Outside, the stars continued flowing past the windows, like glowing rivers in the darkness. The old woman smiled again. "This train travels between those forgotten places." Oliver felt a shiver of wonder, not fear, wonder, because something deep inside him recognized the truth hidden within her words. The train was not carrying passengers across distance, it was carrying them across memory, across time, across forgotten pieces of life itself. The woman slowly stood. "I think you will enjoy what comes next." She adjusted her coat, then began walking toward the next carriage. Before disappearing through the door, she paused and glanced back. "There is a station ahead, the station of lost summers. Many travelers find something important there." Then she vanished into the golden light. Oliver sat quietly. The rhythmic movement of the train felt soothing, relaxing, like waves moving gently against a shore. Outside the window, the stars slowly began changing. Far ahead, a warm glow appeared in the distance, growing larger and larger, until the outline of another station emerged. A beautiful station floating beneath an endless sky of stars. Its lanterns glowed softly, its gardens shimmered with silver flowers, and above its entrance, written in elegant golden letters, were the words, "The Station of Lost Summers." The train began slowing down, and Oliver knew his true journey was only beginning. The Station of Lost Summers. Take a slow breath in and gently breathe out. Allow yourself to sink deeper into comfort. The train continues its silent journey, and somewhere beyond the stars, a forgotten station waits. The train slowed gently. so gently that Oliver barely noticed the movement. Outside the window, the glowing station grew closer. Warm lanterns lined the platform. Silver flowers swayed softly in a breeze that seemed to come from nowhere. And above the station entrance, golden letters shimmered peacefully. The Station of Lost Summers. The train finally stopped. No loud sounds, no sudden movements, only silence. The kind of silence that feels comforting, like a warm blanket on a cool evening. The doors opened, and a gentle summer breeze drifted inside. Oliver immediately noticed something strange. The air smelled familiar. Fresh grass, wildflowers, sun-warmed trees, and something else. Something he had not experienced for many years. A memory, not a specific memory, just a feeling of childhood, of endless afternoons, of days that seemed to last forever. Oliver stepped onto the platform. The moment his feet touched the ground, the station around him seemed to brighten, not because the lights changed, but because everything felt alive. The gardens, the pathways, the distant hills, everything carried a sense of happiness, as though joy itself had become part of the landscape. Oliver slowly walked forward. Other passengers stepped from the train as well, yet no one hurried, no one rushed. Everyone moved peacefully, almost dreamily, as though they already knew where they were going. Ahead of him, a small pathway curved through a field of golden flowers. The flowers danced gently beneath a warm summer sky. Oliver stopped, confused. Only moments ago, it had been night, yet now, the sky above was bright blue. Soft white clouds floated overhead. Birds sang in distant trees. Everything looked like a perfect summer afternoon. Oliver blinked, and suddenly understood. This place did not follow ordinary rules. It was not part of the normal world. It was something else entirely. A place built from memories. A place where forgotten moments still existed. He followed the pathway. The flowers brushed softly against his hands. The air felt warm, comfortable, safe. As he walked, something began appearing in the distance. At first it looked like a small house, then a garden, then a familiar wooden fence. Oliver slowed his steps, his heart filled with quiet wonder, because he recognized the place. It was impossible, and yet, there it was, his childhood home, exactly as it had been many years ago. The same porch, the same garden, the same old tree in the yard. Even the swing hanging from its branches remained untouched. Oliver stood silently. The sight felt unreal, yet strangely natural, as though the house had simply been waiting for him. The front door slowly opened. A warm breeze drifted outside, and for a brief moment, he heard laughter. Children laughing, joyful, carefree, the kind of laughter that exists only in childhood. Oliver followed the sound, walking toward the backyard, and there, he saw something remarkable. A group of children playing beneath the old tree, running, laughing, chasing one another through the grass, and among them, a young boy, about 10 years old. Oliver immediately recognized him, because the boy was himself, his younger self, the Oliver he had once been. The child who dreamed of adventures. The child who believed every mystery could be solved. The child who thought life would always be filled with endless possibilities. Young Oliver sat beneath the tree, holding a book, lost in imagination, dreaming about distant lands and magical journeys. The older Oliver watched quietly. A smile appeared on his face, not sadness, not regret, only warmth. Because for the first time in many years, he remembered. He remembered summer afternoons that never seemed to end. He remembered exploring forests, building secret forts, watching clouds drift across the sky. He remembered believing that the world was full of wonder. And as those memories returned, something inside him became lighter. The worries of adulthood, the endless responsibilities, the pressures of daily life. For a moment, they simply faded away. The summer breeze moved gently through the trees. The sunlight sparkled across the grass. And everywhere, peace, pure peace. Then a familiar voice spoke beside him. The best memories are never truly lost. Oliver turned. The elderly woman from the train stood nearby, watching the scene with a gentle smile. Oliver nodded slowly. I had forgotten so much. The woman looked toward the children. Most people do. She paused. But memories do not disappear. They wait, patiently, until someone remembers them again. Oliver watched his younger self turn another page in the book, completely unaware that one day he would travel across stars to find this moment again. The old woman smiled. The train will leave soon. Oliver looked around. The summer landscape shimmered softly. The sunlight seemed warmer than before, the colors brighter, the memories stronger. Yet he knew she was right. This was not a place where travelers stayed forever. It was a place they visited, a place they learned from, a place they carried with them when they left. The old woman began walking back toward the station. Oliver followed, slowly, taking one final look at the forgotten summer he had rediscovered. The children continued laughing. The wind continued dancing through the trees. And somewhere in the distance, a train whistle echoed softly across the endless afternoon. The journey was calling once again. A new station awaited, and beyond it, even greater mysteries. As Oliver stepped back onto the train, he noticed something written above the next destination board. Golden letters glowed softly. The City of Forgotten Dreams. The doors slowly closed. The train began moving once more, and the stars outside the windows returned. The City of Forgotten Dreams. Take a slow breath, and let your thoughts drift gently like clouds across a quiet sky. The train moves onward, far beyond ordinary places, far beyond the limits of time, toward a destination few travelers ever see, a place where forgotten dreams still live. The golden train glided silently through the stars. Oliver sat beside the window, watching endless rivers of light flow across the darkness. The memories of his childhood summer still lingered in his mind. The laughter, the warm sunlight, the feeling that anything was possible. For the first time in many years, he felt lighter, calmer, more peaceful. The gentle rhythm of the train seemed to match his breathing. Slow, steady, comforting. Eventually, a soft chime echoed through the carriage. The passengers looked up. No one seemed surprised, as though they had heard the sound many times before. Outside the window, a new glow appeared, far away at first, then gradually growing larger. Oliver leaned closer to the glass. What he saw left him speechless. A city floated among the stars. Not a modern city, not a crowded city, but something entirely different. Beautiful towers shimmered with silver light. Bridges curved gracefully through the sky. Lanterns floated peacefully above rooftops. Gardens bloomed on every balcony. And rivers of glowing light flowed between the buildings. The city looked less like a place, and more like a dream. The train slowed. The station came into view. Above its entrance, elegant golden letters sparkled softly. The City of Forgotten Dreams. The doors opened. A warm breeze welcomed the passengers. Oliver stepped onto the platform. Immediately he noticed something unusual. The city felt alive, not with noise, not with crowds, but with possibility. Every street seemed to lead somewhere magical. Every doorway seemed to hide a story. The air itself carried a sense of wonder. as though anything could happen here. Oliver began walking through the city. The streets were peaceful, quiet, bathed in soft golden light. As he wandered, he noticed people sitting in small cafes, artists painting impossible landscapes, inventors sketching strange machines, writers filling journals with stories, musicians playing gentle melodies. Everyone appeared completely absorbed in their work. Yet none of them seemed stressed. None seemed hurried. Instead, they looked content, inspired, alive. Oliver stopped beside a small fountain. Silver water flowed upward instead of downward. Tiny glowing fish swam through the air around it. The sight made him smile. And then, he saw something that made him stop completely. A small shop stood at the corner of the street. Its windows displayed books, maps, sketches, and journals. Above the door hung a wooden sign. It read, "Dreams Never Finished." Oliver slowly pushed open the door. A small bell rang. Inside, thousands of shelves stretched into the distance. Each shelf contained notebooks, drawings, ideas, stories, dreams. A kindly old shopkeeper greeted him. His eyes sparkled with wisdom. "Welcome," he said softly. Oliver looked around. "What is this place?" The shopkeeper smiled. "This is where unfinished dreams come." Oliver frowned slightly. "What do you mean?" The old man walked toward a shelf, carefully removing a notebook. Every person dreams of something. Some dream of adventure. Some dream of creating. Some dream of discovering. Some dream of changing the world. He handed the notebook to Oliver. But many people forget. They become busy. They grow older. They stop believing. The dream fades. Oliver opened the notebook. Inside, he found detailed drawings of flying machines, beautiful designs, remarkable ideas, the work of someone deeply passionate. "What happened?" Oliver asked. The old man smiled sadly. "The dream was abandoned. But it still exists." He gestured toward the shelves. "Every forgotten dream finds its way here." Oliver slowly walked between the endless rows. Thousands, perhaps millions, dreams waiting patiently, never angry, never bitter, simply waiting to be remembered. Then, something caught his eye. A small blue journal. His name was written on the cover. Oliver. His hands trembled slightly as he opened it. Inside were sketches he had drawn as a child, stories he wanted to write, places he hoped to explore, ideas he had completely forgotten. He turned page after page, and with each one, memories returned. Dreams he once loved, dreams he once believed in. A quiet smile appeared on his face, because somewhere along the way, he had convinced himself those dreams no longer mattered. Yet here they were, waiting for him, just as alive as ever. The shopkeeper watched kindly. "You see?" Oliver nodded. "Dreams do not disappear." The old man smiled. "They simply wait for us to remember." Outside, the city lights shimmered beneath the stars. The floating lanterns drifted peacefully overhead. And for a moment, Oliver felt something he had not felt in many years. Hope. Not loud hope. Not exciting hope. A quiet hope. The kind that settles gently in the heart, like a candle glowing softly in the darkness. Eventually, a distant train whistle echoed through the city. The journey would continue soon. Another destination awaited. Another mystery. As Oliver stepped outside, he glanced back at the shop one final time. The sign above the door glowed softly. Dreams never finished. Then he looked toward the station. A new destination had appeared on the board. Golden letters shimmered beneath the stars. The Forest of Lost Time. The train was waiting, and somewhere beyond the horizon of dreams, a timeless forest waited to reveal its secrets. The Forest of Lost Time. Take a slow breath in and gently let it go. Feel your body becoming heavier, more relaxed, more comfortable. The journey continues. The golden train carries us onward, past forgotten summers, past unfinished dreams, toward a place where time itself moves differently, a place known as the Forest of Lost Time. The train traveled silently through the sea of stars. Oliver sat quietly beside the window. His blue journal rested in his hands, the journal of forgotten dreams, the journal he never knew he had lost. Outside, the stars drifted by like glowing snowflakes, slowly, peacefully, endlessly. No one in the carriage seemed concerned about where they were going. The passengers simply rested, reading, thinking, dreaming, as though the journey itself was more important than the destination. After a while, the familiar chime echoed softly through the train, the signal for arrival. Oliver looked outside. At first, he saw only darkness. Then slowly, shapes began to emerge. Tall trees, countless trees, stretching farther than the eye could see. A vast forest glowing beneath silver moonlight. The train slowed, and finally stopped beside a small wooden station. The platform was simple, quiet, ancient. Above the entrance hung a weathered wooden sign. Its letters shimmered faintly. The Forest of Lost Time. The doors opened. Cool air drifted into the carriage. Fresh, peaceful, carrying the scent of pine trees and distant rain. Oliver stepped onto the platform. Immediately, he noticed something unusual. The forest was silent. Not empty, not lifeless, simply calm. The kind of silence that exists only in places untouched by the world. Moonlight filtered through the branches overhead. Silver beams danced across the ground. Tiny glowing lights floated between the trees, like gentle fireflies. The path ahead curved into the forest, inviting, mysterious, yet somehow comforting. Oliver followed it, his footsteps soft against the earth. The deeper he walked, the more extraordinary the forest became. The trees were enormous, far taller than any he had ever seen. Their trunks glowed faintly from within. Soft golden light pulsed beneath the bark, almost like a heartbeat. The entire forest seemed alive. After several minutes, Oliver noticed something carved into one of the trees. A number. 12. He stopped, curious. A little farther ahead, another tree. This one carried the number 18, then another 25, and another 40. The numbers continued, different on every tree. Oliver frowned thoughtfully. Then a familiar voice spoke nearby. "You've noticed them." The elderly woman from the train stood beside the path, as calm and kind as ever. Oliver nodded. "What do the numbers mean?" The woman gently touched one of the glowing trunks. Her smile softened. "Every tree represents a year." Oliver looked around. Thousands of trees surrounded them, stretching endlessly into the distance. "Years of what?" he asked. The woman gazed toward the forest. "Years of life." Oliver remained silent. The woman continued. "When people become older, they often believe time disappears. They think lost years are gone forever." She shook her head gently. "But nothing is truly lost. The years remain. The memories remain. The moments remain." Oliver slowly looked around. Suddenly, he understood. Each tree represented a chapter of life, a year filled with experiences, choices, lessons, moments both large and small. The woman pointed deeper into the forest. "Come. There is something you should see." Together they walked beneath the silver branches. The moonlight grew softer, the air calmer. Soon they arrived at a small clearing. In the center stood an enormous tree. larger than all the others. Its trunk glowed with warm golden light. Its branches stretched high into the stars. The tree seemed ancient, timeless, peaceful. Oliver stared in wonder. "What is this?" The woman smiled. "This is the tree of present time. The only tree still growing." Oliver stepped closer. The golden light felt warm against his skin, comforting, almost familiar. The leaves rustled gently overhead, and for a moment, he thought he heard voices, laughter, conversations, tiny fragments of everyday life. The woman nodded. "The tree holds every moment happening right now." Oliver listened carefully. A child laughing, someone reading a book, a family sharing dinner, rain falling on a rooftop. Thousands of moments, all connected, all existing together. The realization filled him with awe. Life was not rushing away. Time was not disappearing. It was simply growing, expanding, like the branches of a tree reaching toward the sky. The woman looked at him kindly. "Most people spend their lives worrying about time. They fear they do not have enough." Oliver nodded slowly. The woman smiled. "But time is not your enemy. It is your companion. It walks beside you. It helps you grow." The words settled gently into Oliver's mind, like leaves falling onto still water. For the first time, he felt no need to rush, no need to chase anything, no need to worry about tomorrow. The forest seemed to breathe around them, slow, steady, peaceful. Far away, a train whistle echoed through the trees, soft, gentle. The journey would continue once again. The woman began walking back toward the station. Oliver followed, taking one last look at the glowing forest, the countless years, the endless memories, the beautiful tree of present time. As they reached the platform, the destination board above the train flickered softly. New golden letters appeared, their light reflected in Oliver's eyes. The next destination was revealed. The Sea of Forgotten Stars, a place where lost wishes drifted across an endless celestial ocean. The train doors opened. Warm golden light spilled onto the platform. The Sea of Forgotten Stars. Take a slow, gentle breath and allow your thoughts to drift farther away. The night is peaceful. The journey continues. And somewhere beyond time, beyond memory, beyond dreams, an endless sea waits beneath a sky filled with stars, a place known as the Sea of Forgotten Stars. The golden train moved silently through the darkness. Oliver rested beside the window. The rhythm of the train was soft, almost like breathing, steady, calm, comforting. Outside, the stars seemed brighter than ever. Thousands, millions, perhaps countless, each one shining quietly in the endless night. Eventually, the familiar chime echoed through the carriage, a gentle sound, like a distant bell carried on the wind. The passengers slowly lifted their eyes. No one spoke, yet everyone seemed to know. They had arrived somewhere special. The train began to slow. Oliver looked through the window, and what he saw stole every thought from his mind. Before him stretched an endless ocean, but this was unlike any ocean he had ever seen. The water shimmered with liquid starlight. Silver waves rolled peacefully across the horizon. Above, the sky and sea seemed to blend together, as though the entire universe had become one vast glowing ocean. Tiny stars floated upon the water, drifting gently like lanterns, thousands upon thousands of them. The train came to a stop beside a wooden pier. The station was small, simple, beautiful. Above its entrance, a sign glowed softly, the Sea of Forgotten Stars. The doors opened, a cool breeze drifted inside, carrying the scent of salt and moonlight. Oliver stepped onto the pier. The wood creaked softly beneath his feet. Ahead, The endless sea stretched toward infinity. Its surface sparkled with countless lights. Each light moved slowly with the waves, like tiny dreams floating across eternity. As Oliver watched, the elderly woman appeared beside him once again. Her silver hair moved gently in the breeze. Her eyes reflected the stars. For a while, neither of them spoke. The sea itself seemed to encourage silence. Finally, Oliver whispered, "What are they?" The woman smiled. "The stars." Oliver nodded. The woman gazed across the water, then answered softly, "Every star you see was once a wish." Oliver looked again. The ocean was filled with them, more than he could ever count. "Whose wishes?" he asked. The woman smiled. "Everyone's." She pointed toward the sea. The wish of a child who wanted to become an explorer, the dream of an artist, the hope of a traveler, the prayer of a lonely heart, the promise someone made beneath the stars. Oliver watched the glowing lights drift across the waves, each one carrying a story, a hope, a possibility. The woman continued, "Many wishes come true. Some change. Some are forgotten. But all of them leave a light behind." Oliver stood quietly, watching the endless sea. For the first time, he realized how many hopes people carried through life, even those they eventually forgot. The stars continued drifting peacefully. Then, something unusual happened. One star began moving differently, while the others floated with the current. This one slowly approached the pier. Its light was brighter, warmer, gentler. Oliver watched in silence. The star drifted closer, and closer, until it hovered only a few feet away, its glow reflected in the water. The woman smiled knowingly. "I believe that one is for you." Oliver stared. The star pulsed softly, almost like a heartbeat. Then, to his complete surprise, he heard a voice, not through his ears, but somewhere deep within his mind. A familiar voice, his own, younger, hopeful, full of wonder. The voice whispered, "Do you remember?" Oliver's eyes widened. The star glowed brighter, and suddenly, images appeared within its light. He saw himself as a child, looking through library books, studying maps, dreaming of distant places, imagining impossible adventures, believing that mysteries existed everywhere. The vision shifted. He saw himself growing older, becoming busy, responsible, practical, slowly setting aside the dreams that once inspired him, not because he wanted to, but because life had simply become crowded. The star shimmered gently, and the voice returned. "You never stopped dreaming. You only forgot." Oliver felt something warm inside his chest, not sadness, not regret, something gentler, recognition, as though a forgotten part of himself had finally returned home. The star floated higher, its light spreading across the sea. The woman watched quietly, then said, "People think wishes disappear when they are forgotten." She smiled. "But wishes are patient. They wait, sometimes for years, sometimes for a lifetime." Oliver looked toward the glowing horizon. The ocean stretched endlessly beneath the stars, beautiful, peaceful, infinite. For a long moment, nothing happened, and yet, it felt perfect. The waves moved softly, the stars drifted slowly, the universe seemed completely at peace. Eventually, a distant whistle echoed across the water. The train. It was time to leave. The star gave one final pulse of light, then slowly drifted back toward the sea, joining the countless other lights, returning to the endless ocean of wishes. Oliver watched until it disappeared among the horizon. Then he turned toward the station. The elderly woman walked beside him, as calm as ever. As they reached the platform, the destination board above the train began to glow. Golden letters slowly appeared, brighter, clearer. more mysterious than any destination before. Oliver read the words and felt a quiet sense of wonder. The next stop would be the mountain at the edge of tomorrow, a place where travelers could glimpse the paths their lives might have taken. The train doors opened, golden light spilled onto the pier, and once again, the journey continued.